Hello, we are presenting here our rewrite project for the subject Análisis lingüístico de la adquisición del inglés. So here we have a table of contents. As proposed, we here have two different methodological approaches by which we are going to develop two different didactic methods. But in both cases, we are using the resources that we have in the application of rewrite. So in the very first methodological approach, we analyze the communicative approach and the didactic method of task-based learning. So the tasks that we develop are the following. First and foremost, we have a learning situation and a final product expected to be done by our students. The learning situation that we set is the following. This is the last year of the compulsory education, and at the end of it, we are going to organize a trip to a European city. Which proposals do you have? Bear in mind this learning situation, our students need to develop the final product, which is a tour guide to a specific European city. Before that, of course, they need to bear in mind different aspects related to grammar, vocabulary, and we are going to make sure that our students develop first the 5 linguistic skills in a proper way. So that the very first day we work on vocabulary through the task that we have in rewrite. On day 2, students will work, as we can see here, on grammar and discursive components of the language. And of course, again, that they will work on the tasks that we have on rewrite, the ones that are related with the tour guide. On day 3, students will work on structure and semantic content and rewrite again. On day 4, students will work on the listening skill. So students will listen to the teacher reading aloud the text that we can find in rewrite, the text of the travel guide, and they once as they listen to the teacher reading this text, they will complete a series of skimming and scanning questions. On day 5, students will work on reading and writing. Students will individually complete a series of skimming and scanning questions, different ones from the ones that they did on day 4, as they read the text that we can find in the travel guide section of rewrite. That is the best ways to travel around the United States. Finally, and taking into consideration this text, students will write a composition of a travel guide of the city that they wish, a European city. Trying to do something similar to the things that they are going to do in the final product of this project. On day 6, students will work on speaking, and in pairs they will ask and answer different questions about the travel guide that they previously did. On days 7, 8, 9, and 10, students are already prepared for the development of the final product, so they will first watch the video tutorial in rewrite about the tour guide, and they will raise awareness about different things concerning the development of these kind of writing. Then, once they know more things in depth about the different aspects, the different details that they need to know about it, they will work in groups of 4 people using information and communication technologies on the final product expected. On day 11, students will develop the oral presentation of this final product. The resources that we will use, as we can see, are the classical ones that we know, but mainly the application of rewrite. The assessment rubrics can be found in pages 12 and 13. Because of different layout problems, we decided to leave it at the end of this document. Now let's move on and let's continue now talking about methodological approach number 2, which is the grammar translation method. In the grammar translation method, we know that students will focus on vocabulary memorization, translation of sentences, and all these things. So this is precisely what we are developing in this didactic unit. So the learning situation is that the students will understand how to read and write formal and informal letters and emails. The final product expected is the following. At the end of the didactic unit, the students will do an exam in which they will do different grammar and vocabulary tasks and will be asked to read and write either a formal letter, informal letter, or a letter of complaint. So the main tasks that we are going to develop in this didactic unit are going to be the following. On day 1, students will work on a letter of complaint taken from the application rewrite, and they will do first the grammar tasks included in this application, and then the teacher will spend time explaining the active and passive voice, and students will do a drill, a pre-tasks, to work on this grammar structure. On day 2, students will work on the letter of complaint and will work specifically on a vocabulary task in rewrite, in which students will raise awareness about the way they need to take into consideration, the vocabulary they need to take into consideration in a letter of complaint. Students will translate different words closely related to the ones that they will read in the cited main task. And on day 3, students will read and translate the letter of complaint that we can find on rewrite. On day 4, students will work on the letter of complaint again, and students now are going to write their own letter of complaint using the previous model as a reference. Of course, here students will make use of dictionaries as they wish. Day 5 is intended to work on the informal letter, and students will first start working on grammar and vocabulary related with this kind of letter. On day 6, students will read an informal letter and translate it. On day 7, students will write an informal letter, taking into consideration the previous model that they were reading on day 6. On day 8, students will develop a formal letter, but first they will work on grammar and vocabulary, as they did before. And on day 9, they will read a formal letter that they need to translate. On day 10, following the routine that we were doing from the very beginning, they will need to write a formal letter following the model that they read on day 9. On day 11, students will face the final exam, and they will need to write one of the letters that they were practicing the days before. Again, here the resources are the same ones as the classical resources that we normally use. But above all, as we said before, making use and focusing specifically on the resources that we can find on Regret. The assessment rubric, or 2 assessment rubrics, can be found on pages 14 and 15 of the present document. As a conclusion and reflection, we basically state the fact that in order to see which specific method works better in our classroom, we may do a research on our specific context in order to see the repercussions, the outcomes that we can get from our students in terms of academic achievements. Of course, this is the way we can improve education and our teaching learning process. Thank you.